أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم ويقولون لولا أنزل عليه آية من ربه فقل إنما الغيب لله فانتظروا إني معكم من المنتظرين. صلوات Quran Akbar. I would like to begin by extending best wishes and tabrikat on the birth anniversary of our present Imam, the living proof of Allah, Al-Imam Mahdi Ajalallahu Ta'ala Faraj Sharif. During the early Mahafil, during the month of Sha'ban, we talked about the lineage of the Imam, that he is from the descendants of the third Imam. And then in the next Mahfil, we talked about the impact of the upbringing of the children by the parents, especially when it comes to instilling the devotion and love for the family of the Prophet. And we saw the example of Abbas bin Ali, and in his line, the impact of that upbringing, that till the days of the Ghaybat-e Sughra, we see that the mother of our present Imam was able to seek shelter and refuge in the house of one of the descendants of Abbas bin Ali. In tonight's Mahfil, I would like to talk about this phenomenon of Ghaybat, occultation. Because there is some confusion about, among the people about it. And the confusion which is created is that, is Ghaybat a concept that was mentioned in the early days? Is it rooted in the Islamic belief system or not? Or was this concept of Ghaybat and occultation of the Imam invented by the Shia ulama after the shahadat of the 11th Imam, in order to explain the delay in the return of the Imam? Because there are some Shias also trained in by the Orientalists. They actually look at the issues from the sociological point of view, try to explain the phenomenon of Ghaybat, and they say that Ghaybat is of later origin and not from the early days of Islam. And so what I would like to do is, briefly talk about it, and I'll make it shorter than normal tonight, as I said. But before I go to that topic, two important points as a base for our discussion. One is this, the famous authentic hadith of the Prophet where he says, سَيَكُونُ بَعْدِي إِثْنَ عَشَرَ خَلِيفَةً. He says that after me there will be 12 khulafa, or successors. Sometimes the words are isna ashara amiran, or sometimes isna ashara aimma. And this is a very famous hadith accepted by the Sunnis. Bukhari in his Sahih mentions this narration 3 times. Muslim, who wrote Sahih Muslim, actually narrates this hadith with different chains of narration 12 times. So this concept of 12 Imams is nothing unusual. It is there, even rooted in the Sunni hadith literature. The second point is that all Muslims are unanimous, as I mentioned there in the Wiladat of Imam Hussain, that when it comes to the awaited Mahdi, Shias and Sunnis, even the Wahhabis, agree that the belief in coming of the Mahdi, appearance of the Mahdi as the savior who will come at the end of time, this is wajib, essential beliefs of the Muslims, even the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. Salawat Quran Akbar. We as Shia Isna Ashari, we identify that awaited Mahdi as our 12th Imam, who was born on 15th of Sha'ban, year 255 of the Hijrah. And we believe that after about 70 years, he went into the total ghaybat, which is known as occultation, where he knows us, he can see us, he's there every year in Hajj, but we don't have the ability to recognize him. So ghaybat doesn't mean, he's going somewhere else like Isa ibn Maryam. It doesn't mean that he's invisible. No, he's there. He's there in this dunya, but we cannot recognize him. Very rare and exceptional situation would be there. And so when we talk about this concept of ghaybat, as I said, sometimes people are confused. Maybe this is a Shi'i Isna Ashari concept. It is not rooted in the Islamic, early sources. And what I would like to, share with you, two perspectives here. That number one, the concept of ghaybat existed long, long before the birth of the 12th Imam. If you study the history of Islam, you will see that in the events which happened after the events of Karbala, there were certain people who actually misapplied, and I'm being very careful with my words here, misapplied the concept of Mahdi and ghaybat on certain personalities of Banu Hashim. They made a mistake and applied it to certain people after Karbala. And some people actually misused it. It wasn't just misapplication of the title of Mahdi. Some people, knowing that people are waiting for the Mahdi, they misused it for their own political agenda. 4 examples I'll give you. For example, after the events of Karbala, during the days of the 4th Imam, a group emerged known as Kaysaniya. This group doesn't exist now, but that it was there in the early days, and they believed that Muhammad Hanafiya, the younger son of Amir al-Mu'mineen, is the Imam after Imam Hussein. And he died in the year 81 after Hijrah. The timeline is important. They believe that he is the Mahdi. Not only that they believe that, misapplied that title of Mahdi on Muhammad Hanafiya, they also believe that he did not die. He has actually disappeared in the mountain of Razwa, and it is known as, and they say this is the ghaybat. So the concept of Mahdi and the concept of ghaybat is been applied after the events of Karbala on Muhammad Hanafiya by the group known as Kaysaniya. Nobody should say that we invented this after the 11th Imam, this concept. Number 2, there was a group known as Jarudiya, which was a subsect of Zaydiyya. They believed in a person from the descendants of Imam Hassan to be the Mahdi. His name was Muhammad bin Abdullah bin Hassan al-Musanna bin Hassan al-Mushtaba bin Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. They believed in him to be the Mahdi. And they also believed, although he was killed by the Abbasid Khilafah during the early days of Abbasid era, they believe that no, he is not dead and he is gone into the state of ghaybat. So the concept of Mahdi and ghaybat again is being used during that time. This is the days of the 6th Imam. Then you look at the Ismailis. Many Ismailis don't probably know about it. Among the Ismailis, there was a group known as Al-Ismailiyya Al-Khalisa, pure Ismailis. And they believed that Ismail, the son of the 6th Imam, did not die. Rather, he has gone into the state of ghaybat. So they believe he is ghaib. And the imamate continues after him through his son Muhammad. And this is how this line goes. Another Ismaili group of the time, Al-Mubarakiyya, they believe that no, Ismail died during the lifetime of his father, the 6th Imam. But then he was raised back to life, and now he is living in the state of ghaibat. And then we come to another group during this time of the seventh Imam, known as Waqifi. Waqifi are the group who actually, we call them Waqif. You know, when you read the Quran, one of the symbols which says you stop here is known as Waqf. Sometimes they call it Waqf Lazim. Waqifa means a group which stopped in believing in the Imams at the seventh Imam. Why? Because they say the seventh Imam didn't die. He has gone into ghaibat. Now, these are all, wrong beliefs. But the point that I would like to share here, that these are the historical facts, that there were groups who misapplied or misused the concept of Mahdi and ghaibat long before the birth of the Imam. Actually, 175 years before that. So don't tell me that this concept of ghaibat was invented by the Shia ulama after the shahadat of the 11th Imam. Salawat padhne ek baar aur. And so where does this idea come from? Mahdi. Even the Sunnis believe in Mahdi. It comes from Imam, from Rasulullah. Even the concept of ghaibat comes from Rasulullah. These concepts existed, and people made mistake in applying them to wrong people, wrong situations. Another way of answering this would be actually among the Shia companions of the Imams, from the 5th and 6th Imam all the way to the Ghaibat al-Sughra. There were many companions of the Imams who actually wrote books. And many of them, the titles were Al-Ghaiba. And I don't want to make it more boring here with the names, but I have here the list of 10 companions of the Imams, and their names and the books that they had. Majority of the people that I have in the list had actually compiled the ahadith of from the other early Imams, or written books on this issue of the ghaibat of the Imam Mahdi ajalallahu ta'ala faraj al-sharif. Salawat padhne ek baar. Only one example, Hassan bin Mahbub, who actually lived a century before the 12th Imam. He wrote a book known as Mashaykha, which is collection of ahadith of different types. In there, he has different, ahadith from the 6th Imam, where actually the Imam talks about two types of ghaibat, what we call ghaibat al-sughra and ghaibat al-kubra. So it has been very clearly defined and explained by the early Imams that this is what is going to happen with the Imam al-Mahdi ajjalallahu ta'ala faraj al-sharif when he comes and goes into the state of ghaibat. Salawat padhne ek baar. So let's go back. Did the Prophet mention this? Did Imam Ali mention this? I'll give you only two narrations here, keeping in mind that the promise I have made, making things shorter. But mashallah, you already had your dinner. This is Da'wat Zul Ashira. Rasulullah, when he first time invited people to Islam, he fed them first and gave the message. Salawat padhne ek baar. I hope there is shirini at the end or something, dessert. But anyway, only two narrations from Rasulullah and one from Amir al-Mu'minin on this issue. And I'm here going by the Shia sources. The first one is from Sheikh Saduq. Through his chain of narration, going all the way back to the days of the fifth Imam, where one of the companions by the name of Jabir al-Ju'fi is narrating from Jabir bin Abdullah Ansari. Remember that Jabir bin Abdullah Ansari was the longest living companion of Rasulullah, that he actually conveyed the salam of Rasul to the fifth Imam. So he was alive till that time at least. So Jabir bin Abdullah Ansari says, quoting the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Al-Mahdi min wuldi. The Mahdi would be from my descendants. Ismuhu ismi. His name would be my name. Kunniyatuhu kunniyati. His ignomen or kunniyat would be like me, like mine. I'm called Abu al-Qasim. He will be called Abu al-Qasim. Ashbahu nas bi khalqan wa khulqan. He will be the most resembling person to me in features as well as in character. And then the Prophet says, Takunu bihi ghaybatun. When he will come, he will go into the state of ghaybat wa hayratun. With ghaybat will be perplexity and confusion, because people then will not be 100% clear about these issues. And tadillu fiha al-umam, and the Prophet said many people will be misguided because of the ghaybat. Summa yuqbilu kashahab al-thaqib, and then he will appear before the end of the time like the shooting star all of a sudden. يملأها عدلا وقسطا كما ملئت ظلما وجورا. And he will fill the earth with justice and equality, just as it would be filled before with injustice and tyranny. This is one narration from the Prophet, where he talks about ghaybat also. Another one, again, quoting Sheikh Saduq and through his chain of narration, going all the way to Sa'id bin Jubair, who narrates from Abdullah bin Abbas, another prominent companion of Rasulullah, the cousin of the Prophet. And he says, very interestingly, this is a more elaborate hadith for the Prophet, where he says, Inna Ali bin Abi Talib, Imam ummati wa khalifati alayha min ba'di. That Ali bin Abi Talib is the Imam of my community. He is my Khalifa and successor among them after me. وَمِنْ وُلْدِهِ, and from his descendants will be Al-Qa'im Al-Muntazar. Al-Qa'im means somebody who is going to come and establish the proof of God. Al-Muntazar means the awaited one. الذي يملأ الله به الأرض عدلا وقسطا. Allah through him will fill the earth with justice and equality, كما ملئت جورا وظلما, as it had been filled before with tyranny and injustice. والذي بعثني بالحق بشيرا. This is the important point. The Prophet says, by the one who raised me truly as the bearer of good news for the people, إِنَّ الثَّابِتِينَ عَلَى الْقَوْلِ بِهِ فِي غَيْبَتِهِ. Those who will be steadfast with him in his ghaybat. So the Prophet is talking about the ghaybat. And those who will be steadfast at that time, لَعَزُّ مِنَ الْكِبْرِيتِ الْأَحْمَرِ. They will be more honorable than the red brimstone. Now this term, Kibrit Ahmar, is a mythical term. Means they will be more honorable than most precious of the stones. When the Prophet said this issue about ghaybat of the Mahdi, Jabir bin Abdullah Ansari stood up. This is Abdullah bin Abbas narrating. At that time, فَقَامَ إِلَيْهِ Jabir bin Abdullah al-Ansari. And he asked him, Ya Rasulullah, وَلِلْقَائِمِ مِنْ وُلْدِكَ غَيْبَةً? He was surprised. And he says, oh Allah's Messenger, so the Qa'im from your descendants will have a ghaibat? So it was not something unknown at that time. And the Prophet responded by saying, Ay wa Rabbi. Yes, by my Lord. And then he recited an ayat of Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He will test the mu'mineen to find who is the truthful ones and separate them from the kafirin. Ya Jabir, O Jabir, you should know this issue of ghaibat. هذا الأمر أمر من أمر الله. This is an issue from the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وسر من سر الله. This is one of the secrets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. مطوي عن عباد الله, which is actually hidden from the people. They do not realize the importance of this. فإياك والشك فيه. Therefore beware and don't doubt in this ghaibat. فإن الشك في أمر الله كفر. Because doubting the command and the secret of Allah is a sign of kufr by itself. Salawat padhna ek baar. Let me conclude with a statement from Amir al-Mu'mineen. The actual hadith would be in Urdu, but the preamble of that would be in English here. Sheikh Saduq, again, in his very popular book, where he actually wrote this book after the Ghaibati Kubra, when there was confusion among some people. And the entire book actually was written to clarify this doubt that some people had at that time. And in there he has a narration from Kumail bin Ziyad through 5 different chains of narrations, separate ones. And this is where you see the authenticity of that narration. And actually, this is a conversation that Amir al-Mu'mineen had with Kumail bin Ziyad about importance of knowledge compared to wealth. It's there also in Nahj al-Balagha. But in Nahj al-Balagha, it doesn't have the source. It doesn't give you the sanad. Whereas Sheikh Saduq has given you 5 chains of narrations about this conversation of Ali with Kumail bin Ziyad. And not only, Sheikh Saduq, actually even one of the Sunni writers, Ibn Asakir, in his famous book known as Tarikh Dimashq, he also has multiple chains of narrations for this quotation of Amir al-Mu'mineen and his conversation with Kumail. This is where he says to Kumail, O Kumail, he took him actually outside the town of Kufa. Nobody was there. Kumail was one of those where Amir al-Mu'mineen kind of would talk, things which were in his heart. He would open up. And there he says to Kumail, when you look at knowledge, it's more superior to wealth, because knowledge is the ruler, whereas wealth is ruled upon. When you use knowledge, it increases in usage, whereas when it comes to wealth, the more you use, it becomes less. And then he talks about the legacy of knowledge continues even after the scholars have died. What is the legacy of those who have money? Even if they are alive, nobody knows about them. And then, about talking about it in detail, then Ali says something. He says, "Oh Kumail, my heart or my chest," he uses the word sadri, "this is filled with knowledge that Allah has given to me. I would like to share it with people, but I don't see those who are worthy of even, receiving it." At that point, then Ali says something very profound, relevant to the Imam of their time. He says, "Allahumma bala." He says, I don't see those people who are, worthy of receiving what I have. اللہم بلا لا تخلو الارض من قائم بحجت ظاہر مشہور او خائف مغمور. He says, by Allah, let me go to English, I'll come to the Urdu at the end. He says, by Allah, yes, the earth will never be without one who stands up with the divine proof. The earth will only always have someone, who will stand up for the divine proof, and he would be either visible and known to the people, or he will be in the state of fear and hidden. Imam Ghaib, this concept, Ali is talking about to Kumail long before the birth of our Imam Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Faraj Sharif. رسول نے المہدی کی بات کی ہے، رسول نے ان کی غیبت کی بات کی ہے، علی نے بھی مہدی کی بات کی ہے، اور علی نے بھی کلیئرلی اپنے زمانے میں کہا ہے کہ زمین کبھی بھی حجت خدا سے خالی نہیں رہے گی. یا تو وہ ظاہر مشہور ہوگا، اپیرنٹ ہوگا، ظاہر ہوگا، لوگ جانتے ہوں گے، او خائف مستتر، ڈفرنٹ ورڈنگز ہیں ان 5 ورژن میں، یا وہ مستتر ہوگا، غائب ہوگا، لوگ اسے دیکھیں گے نہیں. تو یہ ظاہر امام یا غائب امام، یہ کانسیپٹس خود علی نے دیے ہیں، اور اس لیے کہتے ہیں امیر المومنین کہ زمین کبھی بھی حجت خدا سے خالی نہیں ہوگی. لعل یبطل حجج اللہ وبیناتہ، اگر حجت خدا نہ ہو زمین پہ تو اس کی تمام نشانیاں ختم ہو جائیں گی. اور یہ کون لوگ ہوں گے؟ یا کمیل اولئک خلفاء اللہ فی ارضہ، اے کمیل یہ حجت خدا کون ہوں گے؟ یہ وہ ہوں گے جو زمین پر اللہ کے خلیفہ ہوں گے. والدعاة الی دینہ، اور اللہ کے دین کی طرف یہ بلائیں گے. اور اس کے بعد علی ایک جملہ کہتے ہیں، اور اس جملے کے بعد علی نے کہا کمیل اب جانا ہے تو چلے جاؤ، مجھے چھوڑ دو اکیلے. And what does he say before that? وہ کہتے ہیں آہ آہ شوقاً الی رؤیتہم. یہ انسان آہ آہ انسان کرتا ہے کسی امید کے سلسلے میں، اور something that a person is missing. کہتے ہیں آہ آہ شوقاً الی رؤیتہم، کہ ہم میں یہ خواہش ہے، ڈیزائر ہے کہ ہم انہیں دیکھ سکیں. اشارہ ہمارے ائمہ کی طرف ہے، خصوصاً 12ویں امام کی طرف ہے. تو یہاں ہم لوگ دیکھتے ہیں کہ امیر المومنین کے اس بیان میں حجت ظاہری کی بات بھی ہے، حجت غائب کی بھی بات ہے، اور ساتھ ساتھ یہ بھی ہے کہ امیر المؤمنین خود جو ہیں در حقیقت ایک لحاظ سے ندبہ کر رہے ہیں. آپ یہ دعائے ندبہ کی بات کرتے ہیں، اس ایکسپریشن آف لو، تاکہ ہم امام کو دیکھ سکیں. علی بھی ندبہ کر رہے ہیں، آہ آہ شوقاً الی رؤیتہم، کہ کاش ہم انہیں دیکھ سکتے. تو یہاں ہم صرف ایک بات کہیں گے کہ ایک آیت خداوند عالم نے رسول سے حکم دیا ہے سورہ یونس میں، کہ جب مشرکین مکہ نے قرآن کو نہیں قبول کیا اور کہا کہ کوئی اور آیت لے آؤ، کوئی اور نشانی لے آؤ، تو خداوند عالم نے جواب دیا کہ محمد آپ ان سے کہہ دو کہ غیب جو ہے، غیب از ایکسکلوسیولی Allah's پراپرٹی، اللہ کے ہاتھ میں ہے، میرے ہاتھ میں نہیں ہے. بلکہ محمد آپ ان سے کہہ دیں فقل انما الغیب للہ، غیب وہ حقیقت ہے جو اللہ کے ہاتھ میں ہے. فانتظروا، تم انتظار کرو، فَإِنِّي مَعَكُم مِّنَ الْمُنتَظِرِينَ، اور ہم بھی تمہارے ساتھ غیب کے لیے انتظار میں ہیں۔ یہ انتظار کا کانسیپٹ کوئی نیا نہیں ہے، قرآن میں یہ لکھا ہوا ہے۔ غیب کی بات ہو رہی ہے، وحی الہی بھی غیب ہے، فی الحال ہمارے امام بھی غیب ہیں، اور اس کے بعد اب دیکھیں کہ امیر المؤمنین خود منتظر ہیں، اور ہم بھی رسول اور علی کے ساتھ بھی منتظرین میں سے ہیں۔ انتظار میں ہے کہ خداوند عالم وہ دن کب لے آئے گا کہ جب ہم امام عصر کے چہرے پر جا کے زیارت کر سکیں۔ صلوات پڑھنا ایک بار اور۔ خداوندہ اس قول العباد قبول فرما، ہمارے گناہوں کو بخش دے، ہماری توفیقات میں اضافہ فرما۔ خداوندہ ہم لوگوں کو ان میں سے قرار دے کہ جو صحیح معنوں میں ائمہ اثنا عشر کو مانتے ہیں، حضرت مہدی کے وجود کو مانتے ہیں، اور ان کی غیبت کے بھی قائل ہیں۔ خداوندہ ان کے ظہور میں تعجیل فرما۔ ربنا تقبل منا انک انت السمیع العلیم۔